Look at us. I am Brian, AST Apocalypse, and with me is Bucky, ARST Northeast Apocalypse.
Yep.
Look at that. Titles are so cool. Everyone likes having titles.
Oh, I got such a fancy hat.
It's good, yeah. I got my cherry 7-Up for the non-Bron portion of the night.
I have water.
The very Buffalo's finest.
Cheers
to that.
Right out of the tap.
So, we're going to be playing around with the format a little bit tonight. We're going to do our normal talking about werewolf stuff for a little bit. And then we're going to segue into a shocking Pentex instruction or question video that Bron Fionn discovered. And then we'll transition from that into Bron doing Q&A. So we'll have two IC parts to the night. For the part where we're doing the Pentex Q&A, we think this is going to be really fun. We want you guys to be just random Pentex employees asking questions. If you want to know about how your 401k is doing, whatever, things like that, go evil, go weird, whatever. I think it'll be fun, and we have an excuse that you know this IC because Bron is delivering the finished tape to you guys afterwards. So I think that's cool for everybody.
Right, IC-ish. Depending on what questions you ask and what we can actually answer.
And after that, we will have Bron doing an IC Q&A. We can probably answer some questions about current plot events, what the Tribal Council's up to, and maybe some of the lead up to MESCON, which I know people have been pretty amped about as of late. So there's all that. Look at us being so productive and awesome. Where do we start?
Hello. That's always a good place.
I think I burned through our intro there. Right?
Yeah.
Covered all bases.
I'm trying to think if we want to leap right into murder hoboism, or just start with an opening. How was the last 2 weeks as far as game and whatnot? If anybody's got any burning questions or pressing things from last episode to this episode.
Well, a lot of stuff's been going on too. Things are heating up out west where they're trying to take down Victoria McDougal. Good luck with that. They're proxying like 1 billion people trying to take her down. It's pretty exciting.
Fun?
Yeah.
I mean, Vicky's a badass.
Yes. She's a BSD legend. Good luck with that, yeah.
She is a badass. That said, one of the things I like about BNS is that there's no Calvin ball.
Yeah.
So even if she's got all the stuff in the book for whatever that amount of XP will buy you, and a couple bumped up sort of Methuselah powers that kind of change a couple of things, they're not it's not off the chain like it used to be in Revised, where things could just be godlike and totally break rules,
or just make up rules. You're like, I don't feel like making rules for this sort of guy, so he just does. See,
this monster has special rules that it can't lose, always escapes, and will kill one member of the party a turn,
and cannot be stopped from monologuing. It's very intense.
Yeah, and that's something that that is definitely a feature of BNS. Is well, and MES. Let's give credit where it's due. Is not having individual house ruled type stuff for just individual NPCs, because that's madness. The whole thing breaks down if not everybody's playing from the same rule book.
What else do we have going on? Well, Kane is coming up next week in British Columbia, I believe it is.
Oh, nice.
So it's coming up next week. Kane is going to have. I just finished the auction items for it a couple weeks ago. Kane will have the first kinfolk only auction item I think we've ever done. So, obviously anybody can bid on it and take it, but it's really intended for kinfolk. So I think that's pretty cool.
It'd make a nice gift for the kinfolk in your life.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Maybe your significant other or beau or paramour or what have you, because you shouldn't be sleeping together. It's in the rules.
Well, one thing I really like is some people talk smack about the auction items. I actually really enjoy it because it's something we can do that directly helps sick children, veterans, puppies,
Firemen, I mean, it's for charity.
It's for charity, and people really open up their wallets, and it all goes to a great place. So I'm really actually always excited to do the auction items every year.
I like the... I mean, I have different opinions on different items. I feel like I have no problem with pay for pretty or interesting or weird or fun.
Right.
I'll always be sort of against a pay to win. even if it's for charity, or sort of.
Well, it depends on your definition of winning, which of course is always the case in LARP. But
Right.
we do try to avoid, like, auto kill machines or god mode creators or auto win stuff. I think we just go for stuff that we think is cool.
To be fair, there's nothing you could really craft.
Without breaking the rules, yeah.
Right. That you couldn't probably get somebody in the network to make for you anyway.
Absolutely.
In broad strokes, because there are people who made crafters, like Fionn, and they can churn out some pretty hunky-dory stuff. So, I mean, that's just sort of a matter of convenience.
I think a lot of things, what the auction items let us do is really craft cool stories and items and nifty, like creating a narrative, like creating a sense of story.
Which I'm completely all about. That's what I really like. Just more dots on sheets doesn't super speak to me, but I do understand that it is to raise money for various and sundry really good causes.
Yeah.
So when that does happen, I'm not... I mean, I haven't really seen it happen in APOC. Or even this Chronicle. But those are just my overarching opinions.
Oh, what else is it? So it turns out, by happy coincidence, I'm going to be on vacation we're going to the Bay of Fundy in August, which I'm really looking forward to. And I'm going to be... There turns out that there's a werewolf camp out in Nova Scotia at the same time.
Oh.
So I'm going to swing by, wave the flag, say hello to all our Canadian friends. So I think that'll be really
Our
fun.
neighbors to the north.
They're generally good people. I'd like them. What else do we got going on? So that's me. What's new in Northeast RSD land?
Things are good. Weighed in on my opinion of some things. I've pretty circumspect about a lot of things, and I feel like the one time I was asked to go into an issue, is like, I just want to see more background. They're like, well, I don't know if that should be. But I'm trying to think of an analog that I can discuss, like in terms of like vampire. So if I wanted to, like, I don't know, play a character and somebody would be like, I don't know if you have the lores for that. I'd be like, I don't think I do either. But I've also played like a host of characters who don't have their own lores. Like, I mean, other than the ones you get for free. There's a lot of people who are just like, I don't know how many Sabat like really try to take like deep Sabat lore. Like, who's ever taken Priscus lore? I want to slap them on the back, because like, good for you to actually understand how like your vampire government works. But I mean, people don't honestly do it, and like expecting folks to is like, I mean, I could see it as a bar to entry or a tax, but beyond that, I'm like, yeah, most players don't have those skills. I don't really see why they're super duper necessary.
How's everybody doing out there in TV land tonight? How are you guys doing out there? Let's take a look. Let me check it in chat here. Chat seems to be confused.
Chat seems to be down.
Chat does seem to
Viewers are up.
Oh, here we go. Stream chat. Here we go. Welcome to chat room. Hello, friends.
I saw...
Oh, Internet Land says hello. They can see that. Now we know they're out there. That's good.
Knowledge about what my lore dots mean is always an interesting... Well, yeah, it's...
Lores are such a weird animal, aren't they? Like, even in the cleaned up system we have now, it's there's an abstraction to lores. It's kind of weird.
That's the right word. It's an abstraction.
Yeah.
Just like combat is. It's never going to make 100% sense, and a lot of it you just have to like roll with. It's your ability to be like, I wonder what that is, and then chop for it. Like, and you get a bonus if you kind of know more about one subject matter than the other. But in the same sort of sense that, like, a werewolf with a grand clave, on the first turn of combat and their first action can't kill a 10-year-old. Or a dog. I mean, depending on how many health levels it has. Things are just super abstracted. You just have to roll
Some
with that.
things you just shouldn't think about.
Yeah. It doesn't pay. Now, the flip side of that is you can have systems which do exist that have incredible granularity.
Well, like we did last time, where we mapped out what every single dot of every lore says.
Well, I would say, I mean, that's okay, because it gives you, like, examples and buzzwords, but I'm talking about, like, some tabletop systems like Palladium and GURPS, where you basically take your character from cradle to almost the grave, where you're like, they went to high school, then they went to, like, a technical college, then they got their doctorate, these are all their percentages for every individual science, ology, fact, major, etc., and then it becomes very... It's very math oriented, and even then, you're given a percentage for like your mathematics skills. So somebody can ask you what's 3 times 7, you can just flub the die roll, which is kind of weird for somebody with a PhD in the subject. Like, yeah, it's a tough nut to crack. I give my general advice of roll with it, because I mean, what the hell else are you gonna do?
Yeah. So, now that we've all said hello to each other and kind of touched base, murder hobos. I actually just cracked a joke about playing a murder hobo in Fallout earlier today, because that's what you do in a game like Fallout, is you just kind of walk around and murder everything.
Yeah. So I was I tend to have things playing in the background whenever I'm doing more constructive things like work, or well, it's pretty much just work. And I don't know how YouTube's like algorithms work, but it sent me on this like D&D discussion rabbit hole. And so one of the videos that popped up was essentially talking about hoboism, and it's from, I just want to give a shout out to the actual creator. I want to say it was Take 20 is the people on YouTube who made a video. So if you want to go to YouTube and check out Take 20's discussion of murder hoboism, they break it down to a few things. It's a relatively short video with like a good third of it is just sponsorship in the front end of the video, which is a little bit weird. You usually save that for the middle. And all of it was through an exceedingly D&D lens. Like it viewed and that colored the whole discussion of how Dungeons and Dragons specific things are. But a lot of the things that it addressed are relevant to discussions about White Wolf games.
Well, let's start with defining our terms. What do you mean by murder hobo?
I think you want to drop the video link in the chat,
I'll have to dig it up. Yeah, hang on.
And then we'll try to pull up the points that they make.
Well, just talk to you. What's a murder hobo?
So, I would say murder hoboism, but a murder hobo is pretty much what PCs often become in role-playing games. I mean, most commonly in D&D type games, where you're pretty much roving around, just murdering everything and looting bodies. And the phenomenon of that goes beyond just Dungeons and Dragons and touches on some like core fundamental things about role playing. I think the first thing he brings up is a lack of other win conditions other than just murder.
Players' characters are built just to kill things. It's all they do. It's all they're good at. Skills, murder. Interests, murder. Because that's the game they're expecting to walk into, where that will be the only way that their character will be tested. Right.
And people view Werewolf as, like, pretty much most of the powers are murder and getting better at murder. But compared to something like D&D, APOC has, like, a rich social subgame that, like, is summed up in like 1 or 2 skills in all of D&D. It's diplomacy and bluff. And that's pretty much it. So when characters fall into hoboism, murder hoboism, when there's no other route to reward. So if all of the enemies all the time are inimicable, they're implacable, they're merciless, they will not stop, they do not feel mercy, they will not rest until they kill Sarah Connor, your choice is to kill them first. If there's no social way to take them down, if there's no other end game other than murdering them, then you're starting to condition your players to view any encounter, random encounter, canon NPCs, anything like that, as like in sort of a JRPG sense of like you go into a whirly screen and then you start combat. Like anything else is a stretch because it never works or it's never presented as a legitimate option.
Yeah.
So that's a big one.
Well, I think a lot of times murder hoboism, this focusing only on the combat elements in the game, a lot of times you really can't fault the players for falling into that because it's the world that they're given by the storytellers. Like, one thing you'll see, a trope you'll see in movies and TV all the time is you have a monster who wants to eat everything, it doesn't care, whatever, and then all of a sudden the show or something just suddenly pretends there's a moral dilemma to it. Like, oh my god, maybe I shouldn't do this because killing is wrong. It's like, no, you've crossed that event horizon a long time ago. It's a question of how you set this up. The moment every hero has in the third act in like all these stories where he's like, oh my god, I can't let X horrible thing happen because I love that person, or I can't do that because when the
you could just sum it up as like the only problem with Netflix's Marvel shows, other than Iron Fist, is that they always do that in the third act, always,
every time.
And I get it that they're heroes,
yeah,
and some of them are really good, and some flat out sort of make decisions about how they're going to live their life. Also, Green Arrow to like an even more ridiculous extent, where it's like, I'm cool with killing people. He's like, you know what? No more killing. Then he's put in impossible moral situations where it's like, well, if you don't kill the bad guy, he's going to kill like tons of people to the point where a city gets nuked because that's how those storylines go. They go completely off the rails. They don't make any sense.
Well, I think one way to put this, I don't want to get off on a tangent, but I do think this is an interesting question. Is I think a lot of times storytellers and writers in general will set up the dual train track situation and pretend it's the worst moral dilemma in the history of the universe. You know the dual train tracks, right?
Yes.
You got a train coming down the track, and if it keeps going on the track, it's going to murder 100 people.
Train switch problem.
Train switch, yeah.
What it's
going to murder 100 people. But
it's featured on The Good Place.
Yeah. But if you pull the switch, then like 3 people will die. But you'll have caused that by turning the switch.
And there's ways of extrapolating that. Like it's one person versus 6 people. A lot of people will be like, well, I mean, I'd rather net 5 people saved.
But when it's like everyone...
It's like, okay, 6 people you don't know, 1 Nobel Prize winner. Or 6 people who are pretty decent, your mom.
See, these are interesting.
Right.
What's not interesting is these 1 or 2 people versus everyone. You've got to balance that. Well, if your switch isn't balanced,
and this is why it comes up in things that are heroic and epic all the time. Is these 6 people or the murderer? Like the person who's making you choose this dilemma is the one person you can hit with the trolley car.
That's something nobody ever thinks of actually when that situation is set up. Is like you can just shoot the guy who's making you choose.
Well, right. Well, that's what most of the. I mean, that's the Talmudic response. But I mean, I
know.
It's a resolved issue in Judaic thought. The villains, and there are villains like this, will be like, well, I mean, if you kill me, then you're just like me. And that's what's stopping them from throwing the switch to save all the people and only have to kill the bad guy who forced the whole problem in the first place. And then that's posed as a legitimate moral dilemma, which I posit it is not. There is no one who would really be torn up about it. There isn't a jury in the world who would convict you for that. There's actual legal defenses who are completely built around, well, yeah, I mean, you did that.
Yeah.
Good on you. Charges dropped.
But that's a little off tangent of Moto Hobo, but it's the question of storytelling design. If you create a situation where your way out of combat is, forcing some sort of moral choice that isn't really a moral choice. Like, there's a difference between impossible moral choices, where those two things are balanced so completely you can't make a choice.
Right, your Sophie's choice is, but even your more generic Hobson's choice needs to be structured in a way that, 1, is compelling, and 2, doesn't just feel like punishment to the players. Right? So a lot of times it's like... when giving options to players, you don't just want to say this bad thing happens to you or this bad thing happens to you, because if that's how it's viewed, It's like, why is this scene that punitive? Why is there no end game where I could just do the right thing and not like suffer needlessly?
Right.
And that's a balancing act that all GMs and STs have to do, and a lot of that comes from world building and making plots that have a lot of moving parts.
Creating a sense of the world exists more than guys and their number of hit points.
Yeah,
that's a very important thing to create as a storyteller.
Now, most of this fellow's points are all boiled down to the storyteller and the world and how your players feel or are conditioned. It's only the last point he makes is some of your players might just be dicks. So this is something that I listened to on a whole podcast talking with the Ultima Online guy, the guys who made Ultima Online. They made an ecology. Plants would grow, rabbits would eat the plants, wolves would eat the rabbits, and they figured players would just be part of that ecosystem and occasionally kill like the high value targets like bears or whatever. And what happened is, now we would take it for granted, a wave of players came in and murdered everything. Everything. Even things that were essentially worthless. It would be like, rabbit, kill it. And they had all sorts of ideas and theories about why their ecology crashed immediately. Is they didn't take into account that any reward is enough reward for a player to just murder something
when
in the
there's
game.
no risk.
Right, there's no risk.
Like it's like
Well,
it's like the
even if
classic.
there's low risk, they murder everything.
Yeah, but it's also the player thing where a player will trade all their childhood memories of their mother for one extra point in swimming tests. I mean,
Oh well, that is very much I was going to say a LARP problem, but it's an RPG problem when people want to work in. This happens a lot when you talk about like Fae and changelings and stuff. It's like, oh, you're going to lose the memory of all your birthdays. Like, what do I get out of it? +1 grapple. Okay, done. You know what I didn't do? Write up all the memories of my birthday. Like, I'll just make that part of my character's angst. But it's relatively meaningless, and I get a mechanical benefit. And players will they will walk out blank slates with nothing but bonuses and just go from there. Totally comfortable with it.
if you told players that, I mean, this is something STs have to watch out for. If you tell players like they get 100th of XP for every person they kill, they will kill.
They will commit genocide, like immediately.
I think that's how the human race actually ends. Is it's discovered that that people killing each other creates you 100th of an XP, and suddenly it's all over.
I mean, I want to just highlight over the video to get to his point. So the first point was not having alternatives, and this is a legitimate problem in Werewolf, and always has been.
Yeah,
and one of the few things. Okay, so there's a couple of outs there, right? One is Erebus. That was sort of always on the, so you can just mouse over the bar until it's yellow and then just click on it. Oh no, well, not by dragging it,
okay.
Just to see the numbers.
Players not invested.
Right. So there's Erebus was like, well, we don't have to kill them. We could just put them, essentially sentence them to game death. And there was one elder power for
The flipper.
Wendigo.
Octena, I think it was, wasn't
No, it was Wendigo.
Okay.
It was Touch of Wormwood or something, and it was like
it? That power was one of the best RP powers in the game. I loved that power.
It had the most outrageous level of soft power, and it also was very frustrating when people just used quote-unquote corrupted Wendigo, who could essentially just turn on and off their corruption at will, as like kind of a major sticking point. Killing corrupted Wendigo was always a little bit tricky because they should, at least theoretically, be able to just be like, no, sometimes I'm just not wormy. I just ideologically am this way because I'm very mad. But there is no touch of wormwood. There's no way to unworm somebody, even for a scene, so that they can like start their redemption path. We've got Circle of Guys cleansing, which is used essentially as a post-murder car wash. You use it after battle scenes. You wash off the taint, and then you go about your business. And if you're so corrupted that it doesn't work, well, list of tools is now over. That's it. It's one tool. If you've gone too far,
well, there's questing for getting rid of high level taint. It's right in there. You can quest. I mean, if the person wants to be untainted, they can quest to get rid of some of the taint.
Right. There is that sort of gray box that how do you get from fighting a BST to questing to save them? You could do it through RP, and that's great, and that should be something that's on the table at least occasionally, because it certainly cuts down on sort of murder hoboism, but also to a greater extent just encourages players to sort of think laterally and be more creative.
Well, the other thing to keep in mind is the BSDs definitely are thinking about curing you.
Right.
I mean, that is definitely something on the BSD's agenda, is fixing you.
Yeah. Well, because, I mean, that's another thing. A lot of BSDs just, especially if they're winning, probably shouldn't just run around decapping all the werewolves that they have. Like, all they have to do really is get you. And while, yeah, you have to willingly become corrupt, their goal is to essentially try to sell you on that, at least for a little while, and then dispatch you. Because if they get you, then they've got you. That's a huge win for them.
Yeah.
You've now become a corrupted whatever, and then the rest of your line theoretically will keep coming back corrupted. Or however that works.
It's an interesting point. Newly turned BSD, are they different from an elder BSD? Would that be ICly known? Well, if you knew what their name was before they walked this barrel, yes, you can use lore. But the more important thing to keep in mind is, from the long game perspective of Werewolf the Apocalypse, it's their soul that matters. That's what's going back in the pool. And if every soul lost to the worm to a BSD isn't coming back in the next trip around the lap, like they're going to be born again as a BSD if they're a BSD.
And that's why the BSD is grossly outnumbered. There were more BSDs than anything else in the setting, and I think that's still true.
Definitely by BNS, because they weren't. Yeah, they took their losses, and they took their losses like everybody else did, but they didn't take anywhere near the losses that the Garou did. Yeah.
So, what are some other points he brings up? One of them is about player investment. Players need to feel invested in the game. If you don't really care about the game, and you just be super casual, then yeah, you don't want to get to know these NPCs. You don't give a shit about this BSD. You're just gonna fucking murder them, like.
And that's on the ST, because you've got to do the work there. It's not just about the BSD. It's, random person on the street. Oh my gosh, random person on the street has become a Fomori. Versus this kinfolk who's been an established NPC around the cairn for years and years is suddenly a false bitten. Like, there's a huge difference between those NPCs, even though mechanically they're exactly the same.
Right. I threw the Fomori template on an NPC. If you say it like that, people will murder it. They won't even care about it because there's no investment there.
Right.
If it's... You got to put the things you created to make your world richer on the line, and put that on the line for the players. He goes into some other stuff. A lack of consequences is another one. If you're essentially just rewarded for murder hoboism, you will continue being a murder hobo. If there's no downside, if there's never any comeuppance to just, we'll just kill everything all the time, they're going to keep... Players will do what works. They will, whether it's sort of looking for any mechanical advantage or poorly worded power or gift, and then abuse the hell out of it, but they will find, like the TaW, like water itself, will find the path of least resistance, and then it will follow it. And if it's that much harder to, like, RP than it is to just murder things, they're going to murder things.
Yeah. And murdering things is an important part of the game. But it shouldn't be... In most cases, you want to avoid the things that they're murdering being just stock 3, brawl, firearms, dodge.
One of the things that was revolutionary about White Wolf when it came out wasn't the fucking 90s edgelord bullshit that they put in their own documentary. That was never
the important part.
That was self-aggrandizing tripe, and watching them like fucking phalate themselves over it.
I don't know about that, but that was definitely.
I'm allowed to be angry.
Okay, I don't know if I feel that strongly.
I hate that self-aggrandizing garbage. What was revolutionary?
We self-aggrandize all the time.
That's because we're great. No, but what was relatively revolutionary was you had 3 columns of skills that you could use in any combination with your attributes, and you had this a level of choice in how your character operated that basically D&D wasn't offering. D&D was not offering intelligence plus computers or like intelligence plus melee if it made sense. Basically, whatever role made sense, you could do it. And there was a reason to have all of the skills, talents, and what were the other ones? It was skills, I can't even remember every old term. But the 3 columns of things that knowledges, skills, talents, knowledges. And there was a reason to have them. And it made the game immediately feel more social and more encouraging of lateral thinking. And that, I still think to this day, was the biggest arbiter of its success. Most other games don't do that. Like even Shadowrun, which I love, like a longtime lover, doesn't do that. You buy the skills you want, you don't fucking have any others, and you're super bad at trying to not do what you're good at.
Right.
And that's, it's one of the flaws of that and all systems. White Wolf went the other way. It was like, these are all of the skills, put dots in them, creatively combine your attributes in those skills. And if you look at your APOC BNS sheets, you still have that, and you have additional powers you get pretty much from every skill.
We were just talking about this actually on the ST group earlier this week, when somebody was discussing. Well, I don't know what the chop would be for this because there's no chop for it in the book. Well, what's the attribute ability combo that makes sense for it? Well, this. Well, then that's the chop. I mean,
right.
If players want to do something you don't have a chop for, the system is so flexible, you can find a chop for it. I mean, you don't have to feel constricted by that. When we're talking about that, obviously, when we're talking about things like how gifts and disciplines work, that's all set in place, or whatever. But for other stuff, like if you want to throw like a pickpocketing chop or something like that,
right? If you have obfuscate, right, you're gonna do is it mental stealth?
Mental stealth, yeah.
Right. If somebody's just gonna sneak, physical stealth. I mean, like that's essentially the traits you want. It's not rocket surgery. And every level of skill gives you another trait. That's how you do the math. That's how that works. They're no longer just retests, which is definitely a superior thing to the old LARP system. That definitely reflects the older, somewhat workable tabletop system, which is if you have firearms 5, you're better at the guns than you are so much as just being able to retest a bunch, but still being not really better than somebody who just has more traits than you, and way lower firearms.
I like I forgot that we didn't add skill. I always forget that because it seems so intuitive to me that you add skills.
And a lot of troop games just house ruled that shit.
Yeah,
but if you had 5 physical traits and 5 firearms, you were not a firearms expert. You were just bad at shooting. If somebody had 10 physical traits and 1 firearm, they would shoot everybody in the room competently, and then not need a retest
because everyone got shot.
So
to put a pin in all of this, what we're coming back to is storytellers build depth to your world. Make players feel like they have choices and ways of dealing with things that aren't punchy. Even for situations you want to resolve in punchy, putting other stuff on the table will help the players feel like it has more meaning. And develop your rogues gallery, develop your world, and that will all pay off later, even if the work doesn't seem to be accomplishing anything now. But for players, just look for those opportunities to do more than punch. And I think you're going to have a lot better time with stuff.
Right. Push the game in the directions that you want it pushed. Now, this isn't to say that... See, here's the thing. Murder is fine in these games because it's often a goal state. They're combat-oriented games. Murder hoboism isn't. Because it essentially strips the game of all meaning.
Well, if you're a guy whose only existence is, you're the guy who has brawl, melee, and dodge, and for character splash, you gave yourself 1 level of painting, and that's your whole character, that's not really a character. Do a little more work, and I think you'll have more fun. Because doing this...
Yeah, for like an hour.
For an hour and a half. it can be rewarding in the right situations, but it's not what you want to be doing all the time. I mean, for me, and I've said this before, that Apocalypse is really a game that's about what happens before and after the fight. The fight itself is important, of course it is.
You got to find out who lived, who won,
right?
All of that stuff.
But the game itself, what makes the game rock and is more than a monster bashing simulation, is what happens before and after those fights. Of knowing you're about to go into a badass fight, and then dealing with the consequences and trying to live a normal life. I think those are all great story elements, and I think people should plug into those as much as they can.
One of the when I brought this up, one of the first things Bri said was, "Oh, like the Boston camp out," and that was I was like, my character's not good at a lot of things, but they have a lot of social traits. I'm just gonna try to seduce the Thunderworm, and nothing wins like winning chops. But not just chops, but the idea of like
we were kowtowing to it.
Well, it was all like
we were groveling.
It wasn't real. It wasn't like bard level seduction in a D&D game.
No, it was more groveling.
Right. It was more like, hey, we're like mice. You're like a lion with a thorn in its paw. It's only natural that we would help you. And then when the end of the world comes around, you do you. Nobody's telling. I mean, yes, Queen Slay. You go out there, you do it. But right now, it's not the end of the world yet. So let's work something out.
What do you need right now if you look over there, if you look over yonder, you can see that there is 40 giant murder wolves eating your cousin. And I know you feel salty about that, but let's consider your cousin lost for now. Let's set that aside. You probably don't want to get murdered by those guys over there. So let's talk about what we can do to get you to not be here anymore.
Right. And
Your Eminence. And a lot more of Your Eminence, Your Grace. Oh my god, you're amazing.
Right. Well, the ST was surprised. Yeah. And the NPC was essentially flummoxed. But the avenue it opened up wasn't just a goofy scene, but it was that the ST in question had actually figured out why these Thunderworms were acting the way they were acting.
Mm-hmm. That's why we had room to do that, yes.
Right. And it was like, well, the impetus for this is somebody had sort of set them to kill. Mm-hmm. They'd flipped the dolls to evil and sort of messed with them so that they would be overactive even though it wasn't the end of days. And we're like, that's not right. You're being sort of robbed of your opportunity to do your job at the end of the world. And we just want to fix you. Or help you.
We don't want to say there's anything wrong. We just want to facilitate.
Right. We're just saying we want to help out. And it ended with a funny scene, and I tried to get, I did get, Thunderworm Affinity.
You did have that on your sheet.
It never came up again, but...
Nope, nor should it.
But I was chomping at the bit for a Thunderworm to show up, to just be like, hey, we're bros! And everyone in the game would be like, or just like run in and be like, don't worry guys, I got this. Like, you save yourselves, I'll deal with it. And then like run into a room and be like, so we're cool, right? It's like, yeah, no, we're bros. And then like fist bump it out and then just end the scene. Like...
I think you're minimizing the amount of sheer groveling we did in that scene.
Yeah.
I think you're overselling how badass that was. That was the opposite of badass. That was soft power.
We didn't become servants of the Thunderworms, but it was close. Almost servants of Thunderworm. They have a job. They're just trying to do their 40 hours.
Yeah.
But that 40 hours is supposed to come at the end of the world. So we're just trying to, it's a scheduling thing more than anything else.
Yeah, I agree.
Those are at least the fun stories you're going to remember. Because after all of the years of playing games, I gotta tell you, almost all of the combats blur together. I really only remember if something really cool happened or like a PC got in something of an extraordinary way.
But that's always the result of a player's choice. I can't even remember. Those have been millions of them. They're completely
there's been so many combats where it's just like, yeah, we went to combat and then it was over. It took forever. That's the thing that has stuck most, is how long it takes. Even with BNS being faster, it's still long. Right. So, yeah, try to focus on the stuff that will be memorable and interesting later.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's talk about what we're doing next. We're doing something new, kids. Here's the idea. We're going to be experimenting with doing something pseudo-IC. And it's going to be in 2 parts. The first part is going to be a Pentex team building meeting. What do you want to call it? Early morning triage call, conference call. If you guys want to play along, you can be just random toadies on the phone, asking questions, do stuff like that. Just kind of engage with the NPC who's going to be talking. I'm going to be playing for this part. I will be playing just a toady, and Bucky here will be playing the Horolog.
Yeah, I think that's that was the idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you have the picture you want to pull up?
So this is where we're going to start. To start with how this message is getting out, I see Bron's going to come on after this and talk about this video, because this is a video that he discovered and he's leaking. So keep that in mind, and let's see how Pentex is doing today. All right, welcome back. This is Pentex Financials Office morning conference call. Is everybody on the line? Sir, are you hearing anything? Are you good? Are you connected? Are you on?
Yes.
Okay. Good. So, my name is Nestor. I'll be your facilitator today. Any questions you guys have during the presentation, we will answer them as quickly as possible. But please, let's try to keep things brief. The CFO's time is very valuable, but he said it was important that he take some time to talk to you today about how we're doing with corporate compliance and with our financials as we move out of Q1. I think people are very interested to see how our financials are looking for this quarter. Without further ado, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the Horolog. You may have heard of me. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for Pentex, the global corporation and all of its subsidiary companies. Welcome. There's been a lot of sturm and drang surrounding activities and projects that are ongoing and continuous. Now, as a CFO, probably you guys are thinking that, hey, this guy's going to talk about things like bottom lines, paradigms, shifting those paradigms, raising those bottom lines, moving those boxes, thinking outside of those boxes, when to think inside of those boxes. But I'm here to actually tell you that most of that corporate speak isn't my bag. We're not just here to make money. We're here to deliver a product. What is that product? What do you think that product is? Anyone? Come on, Peanut Gallery. This works when I invest and you invest.
I think they're nervous, sir.
I see. Well, we've got...
How are our profits affected by excess drilling?
Well, leaving profits off for a side, talking about the product. Our product is more than just oil and gas. It's more than just logistical solutions. It comes down, in many ways, to hegemony. All right? It's a multi-syllabic word, but it's very important.
That's a really exciting sounding word.
And it's the core concept that makes Pentex work. You see, much like with a sinking ship, there will be people scurrying all over that ship. And while the ship may go down eventually, how you live out those last few hours matters. Put on a geological time frame, that's where we are. And this ship is going down. However, there's no reason to stop the quartets and high living, because despite the inevitability of the worm's ascendance, we can have a pretty good time. But to do that, we need hegemony.
Hegemony. That's a word I think we can all get behind.
Yeah. In order to do that, we need a lot of fingers, and I know some of you out there have some extras, and we need them put firmly in a lot of pies. Now, no, I said I would avoid cheesy euphemisms, but some are just too apt. And that's why you'll see that Pentex doesn't just dominate. It dominates and it diversifies. And by being in biomedical, by being in oil and gas, we really get to show that. And showcase that we're not just about one thing. You know, it's not just all tentacles. Sorry, Ona, wherever you are. It's about so much more.
We're really fans of all extremities.
Yeah.
That's what we're there for.
Very true. Very true. All right.
What about rumors about new major backers? Or are those rumors? Are there new investors coming online that our employees should be knowing about?
Well, there's always new investors coming online. Most of
we have a great product.
Yeah, well, and most of the companies involved are publicly traded. So remember that the thronging, diseased mass that we call humanity,
it's the best,
is in many ways part of the product and also the consumer. Right? They drive.
I love the way you put that.
They drive the fundamental forces which have them buy in via investment, day trading, what have you, thoroughly legal things, stock markets and bonds, and by doing so, they're investing in their own demise, which really makes our job easier, because ultimately, they're funding themselves being under, again, hegemony.
Hegemony. That really is our word of the day, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, as far as profits from oil and gas, I can't speak directly to that because that is more of the, well, I would say under the auspices of the digger. It's kind of Enron's game. But profits more than just dollars. Profits also market manipulation, insider trading, and collusion. Mind
space is very important, especially for our Fomori contingents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also, as I'm told, a lot going on in the deep dark, the underneath, that we must keep striving to dig.
I do love digging. I was home the other day. And I was gardening and I just kept on digging and it made me feel so good. It was great. I just kept on digging. I thought about stopping when my hands were bleeding.
But then you didn't.
But then I didn't because I wanted to dig more.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was the best.
I've been there.
Hegemony.
I have been there.
Hegemony. What about rumors about new... Oh, no. Sorry, I started to read the same thing. I was so interested in digging and just thinking about those fond memories. No other... That's the question, so yeah. How's JC doing? How are things out at MIT these days? Do we have any reports coming back from that?
Oh, I was going to ask you.
Oh, well, let me check my files here.
Oh, while he's doing that, what is the biggest new area we can start digging into? Oh, well played. Oh,
my goodness.
Well played.
Oh, that would be our hearts.
There has been more activity amongst, well... would-be antagonists, I think, might even be too strong a term, but the quote-unquote Gaians or what have you. Even rumblings in the Leech community, which is bizarre to me.
I did hear rumors that the werewolves weren't all dead.
Yeah.
I'd heard reports of that.
Well,
they apparently blew up JC's helicopter.
You see indicia of them.
A whole helicopter.
Wasted. Do they think about the carbon footprint that's involved in purchasing another helicopter?
Oh,
no, because they only think of themselves.
My goodness. Clearly, they're still out there, blowing up helicopters. Very impressive.
again, I don't want to... Pentex is the enemy of no one. We're the friend of all. Within different definitions of friend. And it's important to control those definitions via hegemony. And once that's...
Hegemony!
Hegemony. That's really the key focus. It's more than just dollars and cents. It's more than just the human capital. And even if there are still werewolves, they're also a resource.
Oh, we had a question about how Shazir is doing. Well, Shazir is an independent contractor. He's not formally an employee of Pentex. We just happen to work with him on occasion. I am told that Shazir is doing very well, and he's plotting various acts of evil and corruption. That's actually a quote somewhere in Russia, I believe right now. He's old-fashioned. He doesn't believe in hegemony or organization or profits. He just sort of likes burning things. We let him do his thing.
Everyone involved in this endeavor, from Victoria down to you, and even those that you are the puppet masters of, are all part of a greater system. Now, that isn't to say that our goals are different than those of the triadic forces which manipulate our lives, only to say that they're more nuanced than the triadic forces which manipulate our lives. In order for this to work, and for you to experience the most profit and benefit thereby, is to understand that getting to that end goal should be part of your self-actualization. That building towards hegemony isn't just an act of conquest and swords and fire and tentacles, but also one of canapes and dinner parties and having helicopters that occasionally werewolves will blow up.
I've heard that having self-actualization is at the heart and at the very top of Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
It's true.
You're being a better person by achieving your own levels of self-actualization. I think we should all keep that in mind when we're digging. Will we be expanding security assets in light of incidents like that at MIT? Is that going to be cutting into our bottom lines? Or should we be concerned about having to spend more on security? The implication is that our eco-terrorist enemies are doing enough damage that we have to increase our overhead. I was wondering what your thoughts are on that.
It would be a shame to see it actually impact the big numbers. But rest assured, in the grand scheme of things, any individual helicopter, however expensive it may seem to the man on the street spending most of his income on Big Macs and, I assume, pornography. Yeah, that seems like a lot of money. We're a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate. I don't want to waste money as a CFO. I'm quite allergic to such frivolity. But that said, let's not overstate the impact of our would-be enemies.
I think the concept to best keep in mind of this is what's called shrink. Now, shrink is something that happens on the margins that isn't good for growth and isn't helping you with profits, but it's necessary overhead that you have to budget for. I think that's the best way to think about our furry little friends.
Yeah. Whether or not it's a pallet of sweaters at the Gap, and a few of them go walkabout because employees have sticky fingers, or even the sweaters that are stolen by miscreants who wander into the store. Some of those are going to leave, and that shrinkage, that percentage, it's just something we budget for.
Yeah. We don't necessarily execute every employee who steals a sweater. Necessarily. What are your opinions on the ice caps? Do you think there's anything important that we should be drilling for in the ice caps?
I think that there's an exciting frontiers on every continent of this globe. Well, I was only recently that I believe it was it the Antarctic research? They found an ancient underground lake and started examining all sorts of horrors, bacteria, and viruses they were finding in the ice. Huzzah! Way to go, humans. Doing our job for us.
You know, people say a lot about krakens and sea monsters, but you give me a good virus any day of the week. You see, if you have a monster, it might destroy a city, but a good virus, you can sell fake cures for that to everyone in the whole world.
I mean,
profit. That's
It's where we got mitochondria.
oh my goodness.
Now it's a good guy.
Yeah.
See?
Look at that.
It's all a matter of perspective.
How are our quarterly bonuses looking? Is 401k match going to be increasing, or are we maintaining current levels on that?
We still do, I believe it's 85% matching on spending. Now, I know that's not 100% matching on spending, but it isn't something of the industry standard of 50% matching on spending. Bear in mind, different subsidiaries have different operations. So if you're with Megalodon, less than shockingly, you'll find a lot of your benefits at the end of the year in the form of HSA and healthcare, dental, and vision, merely because they have greater access to those things. Whereas Endron, you're probably going to get more stock options. And this flexibility was intentional. And remember, you can move laterally. Don't just think about this as a pyramid with whip-wielding slave masters at the top. It couldn't be further from the truth. There's a lot of mobility in the pyramid.
Too.
There's a lot of mobility in the pyramid, and laterally thereof, for you to take advantage of.
The other thing, of course, with the 401k is, given the nature of 401k vesting and maturing, I would actually urge you to take shorter-term investments. That would probably be more advantageous for you in the current global situation.
Well, at the end is, let's put it this way. The end is relatively nigh. To the mountains, to the seas, to Gaia herself. To us, relatively nigh could be quite a long time.
Could be.
But it could also come down in a horrific catastrophe tomorrow, depending on whose plans work out.
Do you want to be the ant who's storing things away, or do you want to be the grasshopper who's just wasting everything? Well, if you're going to be murdered by a sulfuric and strangely sentient race of aliens falling from the sky, I would want to be the grasshopper. But you don't know for certain, so be the ant.
Diversify.
Diversify.
Yeah, try to play it at both ends.
Yeah. I've heard rumor that there are Dynatron plants closing. Do you have any comment on that?
What's going on with Dynatron?
It says apparently some of their plants have closed. I haven't heard anything about that. I believe that there was some strategic relocations.
Which bastard's in charge of Dynatron now?
Just one moment. We're just reviewing that. While we're waiting, our friend Tesla, love you Tesla, I recruited an Irish person that says that fairies are real. What's up with that? Well, your Irish friend, like all his... I don't know what to say. No, fairies are not real. I'm pretty sure.
You know what? Just roll with it. It's amazing that they even consider things like pantheism a disease. Look, there's a lot of weird things out there. You're talking about things that are painted in on the margins. They don't matter. All of them hide from humanity. Do you know what we do to humanity? What do we do to humanity? We advertise to humanity. And that ought to show you the power relationship between Pentex and all of these other sideshows.
I don't see them advertising on Good Morning America, but I'll have you know that we had 7 spots in the first hour.
Right? How are people going to know what drugs to take to treat what illnesses that the drugs that we sold them last time caused?
We're thinking. They're not thinking. They're just...
Hopefully they do the opposite of what DJ Khaled says, and they play themselves.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That was very topical.
Yeah.
It's good.
He's talented.
How is the Southeast Division recuperating after its losses in the last fiscal quarter?
Southeast Division of...
Everything.
Well, bear in mind I have sort of a removed bird's eye view of operations. So while the American Southeast might experience a temporary loss, we're gangbusters in Ukraine. Somebody has to keep the balls in the air, as it were, and keep their eye on the ball and the big picture and all those other euphemisms.
That's good.
They're inconvenient. I would not like them to happen. A lot of that's going to come down to you on the line. Now remember, requisition forms exist for a reason. Use them. Don't wait until you've already been don't know, blown up by werewolves or have strange, holier-than-thou people and religious fundamentalists blowing up your factories, or enviro nerds, or whatever it is. Whatever it is, try to plan before the event happens. Insurance is important. Remember, when a pack of maniacs blows up a factory that has a value of 10 million, and we have a triple indemnity when it comes to terrorism, we make 3 times the value.
I gotta say that the maggots inside my eyes quiver with joy whenever you mention triple indemnity. That I love insurance.
That was good. That was good. All right. Where are we? Yeah. Now, moving forward into Q2, which is what, March?
I believe it would be, yeah.
I should know that.
The end of March would be.
The end of March.
Yes.
So moving into Q2, it's important to, I wouldn't say mitigate losses. The real trick is make losses gains. Now, that sounds like magic, but again, it really isn't. Find the worth of something, and then try to get the most worth out of it. Business is, at the end of the day, the production of value. And we would like to make things more valuable, whether it's the teeming throngs, our buildings, personnel, or ancient unspeakable artifacts and horrors. They all come down basically to the same thing: value. Now, as long as you're maximizing that, try not to think about the short-term losses, because, again, we got to the position we're in with this business model. It's been working out pretty well. And if you're going to get maximum benefit from your participation in that enterprise we call Pentex, you're going to have to keep your eye on the prize.
Absolutely.
What else we got going on?
Are we producing new product lines in the next quarter? What can we see Pentex developing within the next 3 to 6 months? Can you show us a sneak preview about what's coming?
I feel like our last major project already cat's out of the bag on that.
Oh my goodness, that was quite the success.
Would you?
Well, the False Bitten project was, of course, a delight.
Yeah.
I think that really mitigated some of our losses by turning the eco-terrorists' own children against them. Oh gosh, that was so wonderful.
Well, much like when, the masses invest in Pentex, the False Bitten is a way for us to get buy-in and cachet from even our enemies, or those who view themselves as our enemies. Bear in mind, they're fundamentally wrong in a way that we are unshakably certain.
No questions here.
Will all end. There will be a heat death of the universe. They lose. It doesn't matter how many times they're born again or whatever hippie mantra nonsense they're spouting on any given day, if they can even agree and vote on a favorite pancake. Am I right? But they're wrong. All stories end. Things come to an end. Why not enjoy that ride?
Absolutely. My ovipositors tingle just thinking about it.
You know what they really hate? They hate fun.
They do hate fun.
They hate fun.
Oh.
And I wish CFO standard for Chief Fun Officer.
In my mind, it does, sir. Have we considered branching into intelligence?
Well, intelligence has always been one of the foundational principles of Pentex. It's why we have something of a motley crew of membership.
That's true.
I mean, I'm a pretty good example
We're a
of
big
that.
tent.
Yeah, it's not just the dancers, although their importance in this organization cannot be overstated. They are a linchpin to our plans and to our very structure. And I'm just going to send one up to Big B up there. Thanks, Victoria. You're doing us all proud.
On that note, I've heard rumors of something called a civil war has been brewing among the board of directors. Can you speak to that on this call?
A civil war. But is this a Marvel movie? Does it seem like we're just going to start punching each other?
I can speak with certainty that the board of directors has been united as they always have. And I'd like to thank you for asking that question by asking you to please report to Processing Unit 37 for immediate lobotomization. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate the questions. What's with all the hokey marketing that we've been doing lately in the Midwest? It's just things with punny names and... What is with the puns? Can we speak to the puns?
I have a relatively liberal view on puns. However, to some of the CEOs of the subsidiaries, you would think they were the way to raise a talent itself. Now, I don't entirely get it, but to be fair, it's not really my job to get it.
I think people can say that it's a tradition. A nice, fun, horrifying pun really just... It puts the spring in our employees' step. They know that they stand for something when they can make a terrible pun.
I always, when coming up through the ranks, would like to identify a project in a way that would make anything that opposed that project seem wrong. Which is, again, an outlook that ties into the underlying concept of hegemony. If you are marketing a drug that causes incredible diseases and fulmerization, call it a cure-all, call it panacea, call it something good. And when these sideshow freaks try to blow up a factory making a cure for something, watch humanity get roiled. Now, if you call it like, I don't know, some tentacle pun, I don't think the same message is being sent. But, again, it comes down to each individual's marketing department, and, as Gandhi once said, be the change you want to see in the world. So, you have access to those departments, and if you think you can do a better job, apply for a transfer.
He was killed.
He was, by other humans.
Yes.
Well, case in point, the ship's going down.
Very sad. Oh, can we make more A-bombs?
Can we... Well,
I believe that this person is referring to the hypothesized werewolf-vampire hybrid. I think I saw in one of the Underworld movies where they make a super scary vampire werewolf. Should we make more of those? Can we make those? Are those a thing? I've never heard of that in real life.
I mean, again, much like our fairy's real, who cares? I don't feel like you're limited by accident of birth, especially those who are in the fulmerization process. You're growing, you're learning, you're getting new things added to you, installed in you, growing out of you, touching things, feeling different ways of seeing the world. Sometimes without eyes. Sometimes with so many eyes.
Yeah.
Don't feel like you're limited because you aren't one thing or another. The important thing is you're part of the winning team.
Teamwork is important if we're going to achieve hegemony. Hegemony. That's good. Bring it all back around. Okay, you guys see... Did we make those movies? I can't say for certain. I would have to go back to our records from the 90s, but we probably had a hand in it.
Bear in mind, not everything horrible that happens in the world is because of us. No. I mean, our product lines couldn't possibly compete with the man's inhumanity to man.
Or the McLean Deluxe.
Which is really just inflictions of people on themselves. I mean, they're the worst.
They really are.
That's why I encourage you to visit your upgrade center as soon as possible and frequent it.
If you've ever walked into a Kentucky Fried Chicken and said to yourself, "What do you mean the sandwich doesn't have a bun? The bun is what makes it a sandwich. What the hell is wrong with you? I just want a sandwich. Why would you try to give me a sandwich that has no bun on it?" If those thoughts start to overwhelm you, just remember you can always go to an upgrade center and be cleansed of those horrible thoughts of the grinding, mundane absurdity of this poor, doomed world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah. Sandwiches should have buns.
Yeah. Ride that. And if there's anything that you should take away from this, is that you should enjoy this life. I think it was Plato who said the greatest good is happiness.
Oh,
Who are we to argue?
Plato's a smart man.
Certainly was. And it's important to keep your eye on that. Remember, if you're not having lavish parties over consuming and doing things that are at least scurrilous and at most monstrous, why are you doing it at all? Bring your A game, people. Bring your A game.
Absolutely. My division's requisition manager has put a moratorium on orders of turtle soup for our cafeteria. Why are we being deprived of turtle soup? Well, while delicious endangered reptiles are, of course, a delight we would never take away from any of our employees, currently we are in the middle of a major acquisition of a new quasi-physical member of our organization, and we don't want to interrupt things by eating their children. So we're just going to set aside eating those for now. But don't worry, Heroes on the Half Shell will be coming back. Those are my favorite sandwiches. They have the bread, and they got the turtle inside.
I see what you did there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sandwiches should have bread.
They should.
They should.
No one's arguing.
Oh my gosh, sandwiches should have bread.
But is a hot dog a sandwich?
I'm in New York City. Where is the nearest upgrade center? Good news! There's almost certainly one within a block of you.
Oh, in the New York City area?
Oh my, yes.
Oh, you're replete with upgrade
Yeah,
centers.
you're
Don't
fine.
worry about it.
Yeah.
Just talk to HR or whoever's in human processing and get in there.
Yes, and if you're already dead, don't worry. Residual Human Resources has a plan for your own life.
Yeah, all you have to do is say yes.
Just say yes.
Yeah, we're easy that way.
We really are.
I mean, the other triadic forces.
Oh my goodness.
Grumble kicks, navel gazing.
At least our cancers give you superpowers.
Yeah. When did the wild ever do that for anybody?
What a jerk. I can't wait till they're all dead. I can't wait till I'm dead.
Well, I mean, slow down. We have a week to
wait.
finish out. So, well, human processing is something of a pun I picked up from some fallen glasswalkers. They had delightful names like Processes Humans, and
Delightful. I enjoy it.
Resources Humans, Shifts Paradigms, stuff like that. A lot of verb the noun. But, you know, that's how they roll.
Yes.
But remember, when I say werewolves, I mean they're werewolves. Our werewolves are great.
We have the best werewolves.
And the most.
Yes, it's true.
If you look at just population numbers, we're winning.
Yes.
And that's, again, keep that in mind. Things are okay. Yeah, you might hear about something in the world that's upsetting. I mean, who doesn't? Have you turned the news on? Tragedies abound.
It's wonderful. I mean, terrible. I mean, something like that.
Yeah. The important part is to keep focused on the, well, as you said it, cosmic comedy of it all.
Just enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
It will all be over soon.
I mean, if you can sum up the mission statement of Pentex, it's enjoy the ride.
Absolutely.
Let's see if we have anything, because we're running a little bit low on time.
I think we're doing good. Soylent Green is on hold right now. Of course, the other Soylent products are fine. We've been feeding humans their dead children for quite a while now, and we're not going to stop now. We're going all the way to the top with that one. Especially, we've been emptying graves. Oh my gosh, the project we did in Oklahoma, where we emptied all the graveyards and then used the residual protein to feed the homeless. Oh my goodness, that was my favorite. Oh, the worms are really dancing for that one.
Yeah. Great stuff.
Nope, no major hits. Every day is a major hit for Pentex.
Oh, somebody was asking about the War Dog. If everybody gets a War Dog this year as a bonus. Again, talk to Human Resources. Fill out those requisition forms. I mean, we're not the North Pole. You're not elves. Not everybody gets a gift. You got to get out there and earn it. What you do get is membership.
That's true. And membership has its privileges.
Yeah, hegemony being one of them.
Absolutely. And digging.
So much digging.
I love digging.
Some kind of... Well, okay. As far as vampire projects go, there's a couple of things going on. One, and this is something that could be spoken more to by our COO rather than the CFO, but Yeah, there are some projects in the works, but bear in mind that this is, as we said, a big tent. It's more than just about any individual monstrous subspecies or ghastly parody. It's about coming together as a group. And we're also talking about a structured business that runs in 3 shifts. I mean, just request shift changes, people. If suddenly you're allergic to sunlight and need to feed on blood.
And I think financially what's important to keep in mind is most vampires are just happy to be employed. They don't even ask for a shift differential to work overnights, which I gotta say to our bottom lines is a nice bonus.
Oh, what a get that is. Just a boon. An absolute boon.
Yes. Now, I'm going to ask, I've run a little low on time, so I believe this is going to be our last question for today, sir. The question is, what area do you feel is least diversified and most open to risk? And how do we close those gaps?
That is a good question. Least diversified and most... Well, I would say, moving forward, the biggest gap with dealing with the various other triadic forces are to do so in a unnuanced or monolithic way. Remember, again, they're wrong on a fundamental level. Their endgames either don't exist, they haven't thought about it, or they're horrific in ways that make us look like a painting party. I don't know what happens if the Wild's in Ascendance. It all becomes sort of like, Yog Sothoth, Goat with 1,000 Young world. Is that really a place you want to live? Can you get a decent sandwich and smoke a cigarette in that world? I don't think so. It just seems like a bunch of writhing, mindless flesh that's so big about being alive. Yeah, it's, I would say keep nuance. Remember, we're here to help them.
Yes. We deliver an important product.
Yeah.
And we deliver it with Hijali. So I'd like to thank all of you for your time tonight. And to conclude, please, I implore you, keep digging. Never stop digging. Alright, you fucks. I don't know if any of that is anything. It strikes me as a pile of complete nonsense. But I thought I'd pass it along. For those of you who don't know me, and why the fuck wouldn't you, I'm Bron McFionn, Ardry of the Fionn, Counselor, Elder, Galliard, etc. Some of the younger folks said I should answer some questions you guys were having. So, apparently, my Glasswalker friend here has rigged up this device which I can communicate directly with you on the tapestry. It all seems like bullshit to me, but let's see what we got. Alright. So...
They're gonna talk there.
There, where?
There.
Okay, so I'm gonna see they're gonna do things on the tapestry here, and I'm gonna see it here?
Yes.
Okay.
Just plug and play.
Plug and play. What does that mean? Plug and play.
They're going to talk there.
Okay, I'm ready. Okay. They aren't saying anything.
Well, I think they need a minute to take in your grandness.
No, thank you. Do I have a date for the wedding? Jesus fucking Christ. No, I don't have a date for the wedding.
Just leaked a video about Pentex, people.
Well, no. Everyone loves hearing about weddings, and the wedding coming up is very important. No, I will be conducting the wedding jointly with Lady Mariana of the She. So we both agreed in negotiations that neither of us would bring a date, because that would make it even weirder. So we're going to be up there. We're going to do the ceremony together. And it should be a great occasion for everybody.
That's how you pronounce that?
What?
Sheedy.
She. Just like her. She.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. We can get into pronunciation later. Tor, howdy. Any ideas how we can actually deal with these Pentex pricks? Yeah, I think just keep killing them. When watching that thing, I feel like I'm watching some stupid parody. I mean, these guys are obviously idiots. How hard can it be to deal with these morons? But maybe there's some useful intel in that nonsense. I don't know. It seemed like a bunch of corporate doublespeak to me. I didn't catch anything. You watched it. Did you see anything useful?
There's cracks.
Yeah. Well, I know the Glass Walkers have been compiling a compendium of what the Pentex forces have been up to. Well, maybe they can add that and they can find something useful. I don't fucking know. Speaking of the wedding, what's an appropriate gift? Can it be stolen? If it can't be, should I just not mention that it's stolen? Bring a gift that you feel is appropriate. When going to a wedding, you generally want to give a gift equal or greater in value than the cost of your meal, because you're not a piece of shit. So you should aim in that range. Weddings are not cheap, but believe me, they're not cheap. So an appropriate gift would be helpful in kind of balancing that all out. She have decided that since they're all incredibly poor, I'll be paying for it, which is fine. I don't mind that. They're the ones holding it in their pocket realm. But I would appreciate something that will help the young couple in their new lives together. That would be great. What is the next internal vote you are intending to see? I don't know. Nothing is up for vote now. The Ferris shit has been on the back burner now while they all yell at each other. I'm assuming we'll get something soon. Somebody could probably call something. Any elders who want to go out there and get something called, they can do that. What?
I think we have a form for that.
I think so, yeah. I think you should discuss it on the tapestry. What do you want from me?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought these questions would be... I don't know. Maybe I expected more.
When haven't you?
Oh, that's fair. I'm disappointed a lot. What are your thoughts on the ban the bite petition? I think it's adorable and pointless. Everybody already agrees with them, but they want to have a petition and yell at people so they can feel good about themselves. But have they noticed that no one disagrees with them? I fully support the Child of Gaia Counselor's position that we'll pass this stupid ban the bite thing as a counselor vote unanimously if the kinfolk and their friends can kill a Pentex BOD member or two. Make it worth our while to pass your pointless stupid vote.
Once we get it.
Would you like me to write you a check? No, you write the bride and groom a check. Haven't you ever been to a wedding before?
For many of them. Probably not.
Oh, well, explain it to them then.
It's probably going to cost between $102 and $200 per seat, minimum. Expect a little bit more than that. Try to have a gift roughly in that bracket. If not, try to
Didn't
bring
I just
something.
fucking say that?
Yeah, you can bring a check, you can bring cash.
Yeah.
There's usually going to be something of a gift box. What's hip right now is a bird cage.
A bird cage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To drop envelopes in for the bride and groom to then take away. Also include a thank you card. You know, this way they know who to respond to if you've just given like a ribbon of cash. And they will also in turn send you a thank you card, as that is custom. If you have any questions about this sort of thing, please go to Edipedia. It's basically the Wikipedia of etiquette.
Edipedia.
It's
Okay,
by
moving on.
the Emily Post Foundation.
We're fucking done here. Moving on. So these Pentex guys made a false bite. I'm supposed to read these out loud, right? Or should you read these to me? I don't know. Whatever. These Pentex guys made a false bite thing. We managed to capture one who might be a bitten created by them, but I'm not sure. I have heard rumors of a vaccine thing to inoculate people. Yeah, the guys in Massachusetts, they put together a vaccine to inoculate your kinfolk. You should get them inoculated before they get bitten, because that's how vaccines work. Now that they've been bitten, you have to kill them. So please kill them as soon as you can. Maybe say goodbye or something. Oh boy, Hamid splaining. I don't... Is everything a portmanteau? Like, is that where the fucking language is now? Where everything is a portmanteau of something else? Like, just say a full sentence. I'm sorry. This wedding thing. You won't believe how much this is costing. Do you think that the Farah Coke... Quack? I don't know what that means.
Do you think that the fair cook?
I don't know. I imagine. Why wouldn't they? What's the easiest way to put down a worm mage?
Take the head off.
Yeah, remove the head, destroy the brain, and then light it on fire.
Yeah, cleanse it.
Never trust a name breaker. In fact, I would just get rid of the word worm mage and just put the word mage there. But maybe I'm just old-fashioned.
It's pretty old school.
How many counselors do we expect to be in attendance? For the wedding. Well, we'll probably have a designated as survivor set up because we all watch Game of Thrones. But I imagine almost everybody will be there. So we'll probably have like 11, 12.
So any movie where you get the whole government in one place, from Mars Attacks to like Olympus Has Fallen.
Somebody was classy. They brought up the Campbells. I thought that was super classy. But yeah, we all know the tropes.
That's why you can't have both of the heads of Coca-Cola in the same place, because of the secret goddamn recipe.
Yeah.
You're not going to lose your tribal council. God.
I mean, there's going to be 11 of the most badass werewolves who ever done lived there. You'll be fine. It's going to be a great time. Please. I know everyone wants steak and some people want salmon, but just get some chicken. It's not going to fucking kill you. What is this wedding supposed to achieve? Wait, no, hang on. There's a thing here. Has anyone been to Arcadia Gateway lately? Well, I was there about a month ago talking to Mariana. She's got some new wards she's trying out. That's apparently going to make everybody feel super comfortable. I haven't been there since because I'm kind of busy. Brev, why don't you have somebody go? Just, it's your wedding. Go ahead, send somebody to go check on it. I'm sure they'll feel great about it. Let's see. What is this wedding supposed to achieve? I do not understand the concept of wedding. You don't understand the concept of... You don't understand the concept of wedding.
Okay, so I would say go on Netflix and I don't know, watch some everything from nature documentaries to Father of the Bride. I mean, look, when what's the bird that builds a house for its mate? You know what I'm talking about? This bird builds a fancy fucking thing for its mating ritual, and then they mate for life.
Okay.
Bowerbird.
Bower.
I think.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
The point is, they're, doing their thing, and they've chosen each other. They're going to mate for life. Now imagine there's a bunch of other bowerbirds that are like, oh, well done. And then also the bowerbird paid for an open bar, and you should give a gift.
It's good.
That's a wedding.
That's good.
That's it. That's fundamentally all that's happening. A mating has happened. Everybody shows up and claps. You're going to stand up and sit down. Just listen to whoever has the microphone. Try not to get sloppy drunk. Don't give a speech if you're not asked to give a speech.
Always important.
Like, don't do that.
No.
Don't segue into the Independence Day speech. That was very like 2008, okay? and the sequel wasn't that good. Molten Core.
Jesus, all these fucking Gen Zers. Okay.
Xennials, sir. They call themselves Xennials now.
I'm sorry?
I don't even know. I don't even know if I'm
Xennials?
saying it right. Xennials? I don't...
No, that's Gen X. I did like Reality Bites. I saw Reality Bites.
All of this
I know
is
how
a
that works.
bilious assault on language.
More portmanteaus. That's a triple portmanteau as far as I can tell.
Alright.
Okay.
Sorry, sir.
Yeah.
The
Our,
thing.
I'm sorry. You're a lupus. That's okay.
Everybody mates.
I wasn't born a werewolf either. I had to pick some stuff up once I changed. So get on it. You'll be fine. Flux. Okay. She can't deal with humans cursed by flux. Well, get uncursed.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
I don't know what that means.
It just sounds like a long story, and I'm sure you're awesome, but I can't go around people for obvious reasons. The glass. Okay.
It's a closed wedding.
You saying they what? Okay.
It's not at St. Patrick's.
They're all talking very quickly now.
It's in a pocket dimension. Don't worry about it.
Okay, I'm trying to... Okay, hang on.
Just saying, you watch a movie about weddings.
Okay, I'm going. Can you please say a few drinks? I will, thank you. It's the best bit of things anybody has said so far. I love it. Have a few drinks. See? Good thinking. Tired of everyone saying I'm alcoholic. It really gets old after a while.
They go to meetings. Am I right, sir?
Thank you. Classing up to join a little cherry 7-Up. You fucking love it. Alright. So, any other questions? You've got a tribal counselor at your disposal. I will probably swear at you and insult you. And you're welcome. Questions? The thing stopped scrolling.
Last question. How do I get on it?
I don't know what that means on it. What is it?
The invite list, maybe?
Everyone's invited. Fairies send invites to everybody. If you didn't get an invite, find your local fairy and ask for one. They were being slackers. Oh, do we not say...
Are you being serious?
Yeah.
Oh.
Do you not like fairy? Am I not supposed to say fairy anymore?
No, I don't...
Can I still say that fucking word or no?
Yeah, no. That's what they're the Fae folk, right?
Right.
That's PC. You can call them fairies.
Why are the Shadow Lords being so quiet about Bat? I would ask, if you really want a Shadow Lord to answer that question, why don't you go ask a Shadow Lord to do it? But Brevilar, since you have an appointment and you are denied authority to die right now, I would ask you to ask somebody else to do it. Shadow Lords keep to themselves. It's like their thing. It's like why they're Shadow Lords. They're Lords of Shadow. That's right on the tin, right? Shadow
Yeah.
Lords?
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. They prefer to be called Fae.
Yeah, but alright, whatever.
Okay. I mean, yes, of course they prefer to be called Fae.
Well, they're the Fae. They are fairies.
The fair folk, the good people, the folk of the hills, the Twatha, whatever. Like, yes, they have many names, and I know 80 of them. Do you see any inexploitable weaknesses revealed by that Pentex video? I just said I didn't. It seemed like a bunch of corporate doublespeak, and that smiling guy really creeped me out. But, no.
I mean, there's cracks there. One of them asked if they're having a civil war, and they played it off, but...
They played it off in a really unconvincing fashion.
So, maybe that's a thing.
Yeah, make them fight each other. Like, do that enemy of my enemy shit. I don't know. Just, whatever.
Is that a hyperlink?
It's a story, I think. Whatever, I'll look at it later. How did we did manage, whoa. We did manage to uncorrupt a alligator snapping turtle spirit. It is now our totem. So with the top of corrupting spirits, we can fix many of them if put effort.
Yeah.
Yes, that's how spirits work. You did good. Keep it up.
Sort of our job.
But if its Encarna has fallen, that's not going to stick. So I would keep giving your totem a bath. Like, all the time. Like, now. And then right after. Pretty much forever. Look, the whole turtle thing is not really my ballywick, but from what I understand, somebody's got to bite the bullet and get Turtle to stand down. And calm down. He's a little salty about all his children being killed or something. I'm no expert on that. What's your opinion on Garu's sponsorship of inclusion for Farah in the Garu's packs that grant renown to people in leadership positions?
Oh man, my eyes glazed over halfway through that.
I'm in favor of... look, Farah are fucking great. Farah should be in the Garu Nation. That is my personal opinion. If my personal opinion carried the day, I would give them all the rights and privileges of a Garu. But my personal opinion and the position I'm forced to have because I'm the leader of my tribe are two different things. If you want this to be a thing, convince my tribe that it's a good idea. When they tell me it's a good idea, I will follow their will. I'm no autocratic monster. It's so... While the thing you want might not seem monstrous, I'm... Fuck it. Okay. We hope his brew clean will bring Turtle back to outside. It's a good thought. Didn't Pentex say something about turtles? Yeah, something about serving turtles, or yes, there was a turtle thing, yeah. They mentioned that, so I would go and check that if you care about turtle stuff. Lord knows I do. It's good.
I got nothing, boss.
Okay.
I'm not a turtle man.
I'm not. I'm sure it's important, and I know the top people are on it.
Top man.
The Wendigo will get this all sorted out. Thoughts on the Kraken problem in Colorado? They have a Kraken problem?
There's a crack in Colorado.
Well,
Isn't Colorado landlocked?
I'm pretty sure. Two observations. One, Colorado is landlocked. That's why I keep you around. Colorado is landlocked. Two, Colorado means red in Spanish. And three, I thought the Kraken was a giant soul-destroying monster that lives beneath the labyrinth and devours the
That Kraken.
Yeah, so is it a different Kraken? Would attempting to start an American Hottie type organization be treason? Well, it's the funny thing about treason is it really depends how you do it. Right, kid? Can you meme that up for them a little bit?
Forming your own hottie with hookers and blow is probably not the best way to go about a united front to try to stave off the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what we need is more different balkanized organizations that all have different chiefs.
I like the cut of your jib, kid. What he said, but then make it gruffer, so I said it. What is my ballywick? Being amazing, saving the world, saving Karens,
Why would you ask
keeping
that?
all of you from being dead. Mostly the latter one. That takes up a surprising portion of my day, honestly.
Yeah, women want him, men want to be him.
Why don't we just focus on being united over starting our own clubs? I agree. Once the world hasn't ended, everyone can form their own club. We can have 5,000 different clubs where we all have our own rules, and everyone's club will be exactly the club they want to be in. I would support that. You guys go nuts. However, the world is dying, so let's not have the world die, and then everybody can have their own cool kids club. Yeah.
Need more territory.
Yeah. Nope. Allies are good. I'm a big fan of allies. I love them.
Whole denouement of the wedding.
That's really the whole thing. Yeah, we're trying to... What's thing to keep in mind about this wedding, for those of you guys who don't understand
history.
Weddings. I was going to aim lower. Let me go higher. Okay, this is a royal marriage between the Fionn and the Fenrir. So the important thing about that is they want to solidify working with us to fight the worm, because they've already lost. They're all really sad because they lost and they're all dying. So since they're all dying, they figure, what the fuck? Why not help the werewolves out? They're always pretty cool to us. And I'm like, yeah, we have been pretty cool to you guys. Thanks for recognizing that. And they're like, yeah, so let's fight together. I'm like, yeah, and if we can help you guys not die, we would do that too. And that's what the wedding's all about.
What are your thoughts on these vampires who helped save Crescent Moon? How can we find more like that? I don't know.
Flannel. Look for flannel. Vampires who wear flannel. Those are generally the ones who help out. They can turn into dead dogs. I can't believe I have to say this shit. They're vampires who wear flannel and turn into dead dogs. Those are the ones who usually are not horrifically worm-tainted.
It's not your fault, sir.
It's just the way of the world. It's just the way of the world.
It's not your fault.
I didn't decide on any of this. Yes, they do have animal features. I thought I said that. Our world is a stupid place. It is a stupid place, and I'd love for it to keep going just a little bit longer.
Well, it'd be fixed.
Well, I would like the world to keep going and have many, like to see my great grandkids come along and have long, fruitful, and boring lives. I want them to play lacrosse and go to college. That's my goal. Lacrosse and college.
Okay.
Okay. Didn't the Pentex video talk about Russia? I don't know. It's a video. You now have that video. Watch it. Get intel. Tell me who needs killing. I will help kill them. It's generally how this whole arrangement works. Fuck. What? Who's having dreams? I don't know.
What do we got?
Have we learned anything about the vampires who helped? Were they ever under the grasp of the worm, or were they always of their own free will? I don't know. I don't know what makes them wear flannel. They just are that way. If you want to find more about the fucking leeches, talk to some fucking leeches, bring your pack, have them kill you if you fall to the worm, and otherwise, whatever info you have, share with the rest of the class. This is how it works with everything. Be smart, investigate, have your pack kill you if you go evil, move forward, repeat. Right? That's like the rule for living.
I mean, more aptly, vampires tend to kind of do their own thing. They're not all under the sway of any of the triadic forces. I don't even think they're aware of the triadic forces.
Yeah, if you, yeah, they don't really care about philosophy. Okay.
It's not how they see the world.
Okay, yeah. Things are stupid. Is this town hall thing, I feel like this is really dumb. Is this wasting my time? I feel like I'm wasting my time on this. I don't even know these people for renown. Like, they're just kind of making words on the screen here. Like,
wait, I'm just doing what you told me to do.
I know. I thought it would be more engaging. I thought there'd be a lively give and take, and instead they're portmanteauing and saying, "What's up, dude?" I hate portmanteaus.
I caught that.
And do you know what the funny thing is?
It's a portmanteau.
No, yes, beyond that.
Oh.
Is that at the wedding, people will come up to me and make portmanteaus. They'll be like, "Ha! I heard you didn't like portmanteaus." It's like, yes, I hate them right now, today, because I'm drunk. That doesn't mean that is a defining characteristic of my personality forever, people. Sparky's here. I was asking questions. I agree. Ask questions. You will learn things, especially if I insult you. The important thing is if I'm insulting you, you're probably on the right track. What's a portmanteau? Look it up. Wikipedia is right there, I'm sure.
Oh, man, I said Edipedia, and I'm a nerd.
What's up? Oh, god damn it.
Well, Wikipedia is cool.
I mean, word encyclopedia, or ask an adult. Find an adult. Find someone who was born before 1995 and ask them what a word means. They might know. What can my people do to help make the wedding a success for you, sir? Come, get drunk, dance, don't say anything insulting. Kitsune, you're a kitsune. Spread joy, not sadness. We need this alliance to be good. I want everyone to wake up hungover and very, very happy after the wedding and say, boy, those werewolves, they would be great allies. I'm so glad we cemented this alliance. I look forward to dying for their cause. That would be great.
Yeah, and pro tip, don't put in too many requests to the DJ. And if the DJ tells you, yeah, I'll try to work that in, just politely accept that that's a no.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
Should be fun.
No, it should be great. I'm looking forward to it. Boy, it's going to be awesome. Okay. We'll do our best. Thank you. Cleoth. What other alliances are on the Rhine? Ahadi, Asian Geru, others? Well, I think other counselors are working on some stuff. I would ask your counselor about it. I don't want to spoil the fun by getting into it now, but the Faye will not be our last ally. It turns out a lot of people don't want the world to end because it's where all their stuff is. So I would look in that direction. Nobody watches people mate. That's porn. It depends on the wedding. Look into it.
Fun fact that a lot of people watch that.
Yeah. How are our alliance with the Beast Courts and the Hottie holding? They're doing great. We have Great Cairns. They stay out over our Great Cairns, except we're sharing the Great Cairns. China's just doing peachy. Africa's doing super. We're holding on to Europe and the Americas, and we're doing super too. So basically everybody's doing super. And ask me to define super. By super, I mean the world has not actually ended.
It's pretty huge.
I'm big on that. You know, people give me a lot of shit, but hey, world not over. You're welcome. Okay. Let's do like 2 more questions. This is kind of dragging a little bit. Why then are we just rumors to Pentex? Because Pentex doesn't give a shit about us. Pentex thinks they won. They killed all the Karens. They killed most of the Geru, and as far as they're concerned, they've won. Our great victory, if we can call it that, is the fact that we are not all dead. So if we can continue to not being all dead, that would be super.
It's goal number 1, man.
Any Karens close to maturing? We're not really sure how seed Karens grow into great Karens. My understanding from talking to theurges about it is after they reach their utmost level of power, they should grow into great Karens in about 10 years after that. Something like that. So, here's hoping. Last question. Make it a good one, kids. Make it a good one. Make it a good one. We're not even close. Yeah, no, we're not. It's not a question, but that's okay. I like the cut of your jib, Executioner's Resolve. You get a little brain in you, a little education talk. You'll be fine. Listen to some songs, listen to some stories. You'll be super. You'll be great. Okay. Apparently, by saying last question, I caused everyone to refuse to ask a question, so that I have to keep sitting here and looking at this stupid box. I'd like to know that I hate all of you for that. Yeah, again, not a question. You keep not asking questions. I said I would give you one more question, and you keep not asking. Oh! Is Thistlechar really my sister? Well, it turns out that Thistlechar is not my sister. Thank you. On that note, have a great night. This has been Bron McFionn and Sunglass Walker, wishing you a healthy tomorrow. Go kill things, please. Please. Kill things. Thank you.